there is no hell. There is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
Live from New York, it is a coffee club. And I love to do that. Blow out Mark's eardrums every time.
I have to remember to take out my hearing aid.
Exactly. You don't need one when I yell. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Coffee Club, and I am Felix, and I am your host.
And I am Dr. Mark, and I am an unpaid, overworked intern.
Guest host, also.
That too.
You know, if you're going to get unpaid, you might as well do more work.
Well, I have to learn to say less and listen more.
Absolutely right. First lesson, Mark.
Yes.
There's a fine balance between speaking and blabber.
I speak, you blabber.
That sounds good to me.
It works.
Oh,
wise guy, huh? Hey, Mo.
Anyway, today's show, if you read it, is about the news, and the news is being broadcast. Now, before when I wrote it up, and before my editor
got hold of it,
and changed it a little bit, I must say he did a good job changing it. But I probably didn't express myself properly as to what I wanted to say. My basic thing was news. There's lots of news these days. There's tragedies all over. You've got the Malaysian aircraft that's, I assume, still missing. I'm not sure. I haven't heard the latest. You've got the Russians dancing all over
the Crimea,
and starting to tap dance also the rest of Ukraine. You've got
Putin flexing his nipples.
Yeah, you got Putin fooling around with himself. You've got slides that there's I think how many people
Mud
died?
Slides. 18 people. That's so far.
There's 108 people still unaccounted for or something. So God knows that's going to wind up with. There's been some.
You know what that tells you? Just don't buy a house on the bottom part of a mountain in California.
There are also some tragedy, some really horrific fires. The motel where
you see that's
there was a motel where all the Sandy survivors were living.
Right.
In that Sandy struck area of what's it called, Point Pleasant.
Yeah.
I think they had a boardwalk on fire there after they rebuilt it, and now where the Sandy people were living because they haven't been relocated, that hotel burnt down.
Well, you see, Felix, that was my whole premise. The bottom line is, in 30 minutes of news, you have a good 15 to 20 minutes of tragedies, and another 3 to 4 minutes of commercials. So what do you have? Only 4 minutes left of actual other news?
Well, there is no other news.
That's it.
I mean, but it's always been that way. But the difference is now, the newscasters, the broadcasters, the TV programmers, all those guys, they actually control what news we hear. And when a story starts getting old and a new story pops up, you don't hear about it anymore.
It depends.
Or very little.
I wouldn't put the blame solely on the broadcasters. Only the well-known broadcasters, the ones that still have clout, those are the ones who have a say in what's going to be broadcast. Most of the time, it's the managing editors and the producers who decide what's news and what's not.
Well, I'm saying the whole industry controls what's being broadcast. Now, how much news do you hear about Afghanistan now?
Oh, very little.
Iraq?
Nothing at all.
Egypt?
No. Occasionally you'll hear about Syria, but that's because of the children.
But not much there. There's not much of anything about the Middle East right now because It's not a. It's everything that was happening 2 months ago is still happening now, or 3 months ago, but now it's not anything up front. There are more interesting tragedies right now.
Well, did you hear the latest on Fox News? Fox News said, the Big Bear, Bill O'Reilly, said that the Malaysian Flight 370 is all the Democrats are flashing it across the news because it takes away from Benghazi and everything else that they want to talk about. 2016 election and Hillary Clinton. I mean, it becomes ridiculous.
I don't disagree with him, and it's not often that I don't disagree with him, even though I like him a lot. I think he's very personable. He's a school teacher like you.
You agree with him?
No, I said I disagree with him.
Oh.
But I like.
Well, you know why?
I agree with him about not necessarily the Democrats controlling the news, but I agree with him. The news is being controlled. Like he's saying, basically what I'm saying. And if it's being controlled by the Democrats, he's probably right, because most of the news broadcasters are Democrats. There are very few conservative news broadcasters outside of Fox.
Well, one of the CNN news people quit a couple of weeks ago because she said she has basically right-wing leanings, and many of her stories never made it onto the news because they were controlled, she claimed, by, liberal Democrats, and they were controlling her time on the air, and she felt that the CNN wasn't giving a fair assessment of what's going on, so she just left. She gave her notice as she delivered her news report, after her news report. She had decided. Well,
I agree with her. I agree in that respect. Not necessarily. The news is not controlled by the news. Does that make sense?
No.
The actual news doesn't always come out the way it should because it's controlled.
Well, stations put a slant on it.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say. And that much is true. Yeah. Fox always puts the slant on it, anti-Democrat, leaning to the right, the conservative right, even sometimes the Tea Party right, for the most part. Sean Hannity, MSNBC, very liberal, very progressive. Chris Matthews, really, he comes across as a progressive, but he's more of a centrist leaning to the left. Okay, at least that's how he would describe himself. But when you listen to him, to me, he sounds more progressive.
Okay. How about CNN?
I've always said, I remember when I was talking with my dad. My dad used to watch CNN. Excuse me. And people who are liberals and progressives watch MSNBC. People who lean to the right and are conservatives and ultra-conservatives listen to Fox. People who are centrists listen to CNN.
I still think they lean to the right. To the left. Turn off the microphone when you're coughing.
I did turn it off.
Okay. If you heard Mark coughing, he drank some tea instead of coffee by mistake, and that's what happens. That's a punishment. You start coughing and going.
And it had sugar in it, too.
This show, you could only have one thing, coffee. You all right? Should I call the ambulance?
I have to go to South Nassau. Go to South Nassau, have the bed next to Jack.
Exactly.
That'll drive me crazy.
It'll drive him crazy, it'll drive you crazy. I don't know who's going to have it worse. But that's the gist of what we want to talk about today. You can call us at 646-595-3275. And also, I am now going to open up the chat room for if anybody's actually wants to chat with us.
Well, I will have to tell you that chances are Robin will not be chatting today. It's a Monday, and she has to get up early. She's working tomorrow. You have a better chance of her joining us on Friday.
Well, it's not just her. This chat room's not for your daughter exclusively.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry.
We have the mystery guest who...
There's more than one. There's a few of them.
We have the mystery guest who checks in and never says anything.
No, there's a few of them. They're like that. A lot of people check in because I think when they turn on the show, they'll check in. Some of them will check into the chat room, see there's nothing really going on in the chat room. They'll go on it and
they'll
go off it.
They'll assume they're going to be listening to something of substance, and then they hear you and me, and then they say, "Oh my God!"
They should put it in the chat. They should say in the chat room then, "Oh my God, you guys don't talk about anything, and you're not making any sense."
That's how we got the show going in the first place.
I know you kept saying it's a show about nothing.
I still maintain it's a show about nothing.
Maybe that's what's in your brain, but come on, you got to come back quicker than that.
No, I was going to say to the people who are listening, the one or two maybe who are listening, that we really would like to hear from them. Do you believe that, well, actually, who does make the news? Let's face it, the networks can make or break you. That's basically what we're saying. Yeah. And they're going to keep milking the Malaysia Flight just like they milked Benghazi, just like they milked, special elections.
The Olympics, Ukraine.
Putin, Crimea, all of that stuff. So,
I mean, listen, the Crimea is no less of a story today than it was last week.
I wonder if they're going to call it the Crimea, or what, are they going to change the name? Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, listen, when they said Russia officially signed it, signed it, and annexed that area, it's like that's it. He said it's official, so that's what it is. Nobody said like he had no right signing it.
Remember the Pharaoh in the Ten Commandments? So it shall be written, so it shall be done. That's it, Yeah, Yul Brynner.
Basically, that's what happened because nobody said, oh, he has no authority to do that. He signed it, and that was it.
Well, I mean, the majority of the people in Crimea are Russians and of Russian descent anyway. When the USSR split, they just got caught in the Crimea. They've always wanted to become part of Russia again. So they, be careful what you want, what you wish for, because it may come true. Well,
I mean, the Russians probably have it better off than the Ukrainians anyway right now.
Probably.
The countries that broke off from Russia, most of them are not doing very well financially, economically, I should say. I'm not.
Well, if Putin has his way, they will all become re-annexed into the Soviet Union.
Well,
that's what he wants. He wants those countries and those lands back.
I don't think he wants all of them.
No, he wants to pick and choose.
Exactly. He wants to pick and choose where the Russians are, where there is a lot of how should we put it, wealth in the land and wealth in the people. If it's deserts and they're all Muslims, I doubt if he wants them back.
No, I don't think he wants too many. He keep the Muslims out if if he could.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Afghanistan proved to be a real mess for them. They could never do anything with that. And what is it?
Yeah, but it's been proven that since the time of Hannibal, and I don't mean Hannibal Lecter, since the time of Hannibal or Genghis Khan, I mean, no one could really do anything with Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you 100 years from now, it'll be exactly the same.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, you've got Kazakhstan and
Uzbekistan, yeah, all the stands.
Yeah, those are mostly Muslims.
Yeah.
And I don't think, Putin wants any Russians, just any Muslim, just like he probably doesn't want any Jews there neither.
I'm sure the Jews would love to leave Russia.
I don't know. I mean, how many Jews are left in Russia? I don't even know.
However many there are. Give me an exit visa.
I don't know how many there are. Listen, I think if they wanted to leave Russia, and the U.S. would accept them, Russia would probably let them go.
Well, Israel would take them.
Yeah, somebody will.
The United States, because Israel doesn't have a quota on accepting people of Jewish descent.
Yeah.
The United States, still has quotas, the quota system.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
we can't afford to let everybody in. We're already getting to the point where we're a point of saturation, probably.
Yeah, but, think about this. The Koreans who open up fruit stands and mini marts, they're open 24/7 and they're hardworking people. The people of Jewish descent, they push their kids to get a good education, learn English, and they become absorbed into the culture and everything. And I still maintain, even though people talk about, and there's zero immigration from Mexico, but right now. But if there was, let's face it, how many people are gonna, like the old line? You're gonna cut your own lawn, Are you gonna do everything that has to be done? They do the jobs that people don't want to do.
Well,
and they're hardworking people. I mean, I see how my gardener. I see how his men work. For the most part, his regular crew, because every year he seems to have the same crew back.
Also, at the same time, we did outlaw slavery a long time ago, and a lot of these.
Well, maybe you should remember that when it comes to my salary.
I paid the same as the slaves and Mexicans get paid.
Well, I still say it's unfair.
Okay, that's.
I don't even get any benefits. You don't even cover me on health care.
You got a benefit. You're sitting next to me.
All right, let's get serious.
You get to have a cup of my coffee.
I sit in the.
I charge you.
I bask in the aura of your excellence.
And I charge you a discount rate on the coffee too.
That's true. It only costs me when I go out to bring in Dunkin' Donuts for you.
That's it.
Coffee and stuff.
Hey, listen, if we were looking for a salary, this isn't where we would be.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
This isn't the place.
Maybe for us it is. Who knows? But we are straying, as we usually do on this show, about nothing. But truthfully, let's try to get back to the topic at hand. The stations, every station, every newspaper, they keep battering these stories out and until you're blue in the face and you can't stand it anymore. You watch news and what do they lead with? That's exactly what they lead with. The story you've been listening to for the last 2 weeks. And before then it was Russia annexing the Crimea. And before that it was the Olympics. And are the Olympics going to be safe? Okay?
I didn't listen to here I am on a broadcast on radio where we have potential of having thousands and millions of listeners. I'm not saying we do have, but we have potential. People from anywhere in the world could listen to us.
Well, we may have two.
And I don't even know if they. Now, there's. I heard one of the stories today was that the government of Indonesia declared the people dead on that aircraft. They said the plane crashed in the Indian Ocean, and everybody died. Well, there's only one problem with that. I don't think they found the airplane yet.
Well, they claim they found debris. They're not sure exactly where it's from. But I think right now they're just using common sense and logic that it's been 2.5 weeks already with no word. The email that was put out by the Malaysian government, and that's a lousy way for people to find out.
It's not an email. No. They had some gentleman talking about it.
The president of Malaysia. But before he started to talk, families in the early morning got emails saying that we're assuming that the plane is gone. Your loved ones have perished with the plane. They're dead. We hold out no hope. I mean, that's like calling up a relative and saying, I hate to tell you, but, my father passed away, your uncle. Something like that. I mean, there's certain things like that you don't leave a message,
Well, maybe they wanted to let them know before they broadcasted it. They don't want them to hear it,
Well, I remember when my grandmother contracted pancreatic cancer, okay? And she was a well-read woman, I don't know how far she went in school, but she was a well-read woman, loved to read, loved to do research. This was all before computers. And the bottom line is, she surmised that she had cancer. Maybe she didn't know what kind she had. But, until you hear the doctor tell you have cancer, there's always a slimmer of hope, a little glimmer that maybe I'm wrong. But when they finally come out with the statement and say, listen, your loved ones are gone, I mean, that's pretty definite.
Yeah. But I'm saying, I don't know, again, I didn't listen to, if anybody out there listened to the news today and heard that they actually found any parts of they identified any parts of the airplane, please let me know, because I really haven't been listening to the news. And my point is, if they didn't find any parts of the airplane, yes, then there is still a chance of something, that they're not there, that they landed, that they crashed somewhere else.
Sounds like something out of a Twilight Zone episode. Yeah. I'm serious, really.
Yeah. Well, does anybody know what the Israeli government did after this now?
No, what?
They increased their air defense all over, and they mobilized the people to,
what is Israel worried about? I don't understand.
That the plane was actually hijacked. And it's going to be used to, for other purposes.
Oh, like those 3 planes, 2001.
Yeah. Well, probably they're looking at it worse, because now you have control of an airplane and you can do whatever you need to do with it first. Load it up with whatever you want to load it up with. They don't know. But there's definitely Israel stepped up the defense quite a bit after this airplane lately. After like a week after the plane disappeared, they decided to do that, and they're still, from what I understand, the defense is still at high alert. So they may know something also that we don't know, that they're not saying. There are rumors that the plane may landed somewhere in Pakistan, and the spots in Pakistan where nobody would even know, a deserted field, and nobody would even know the plane landed there. So until they find parts of an aircraft, and again, I don't know if they did or they didn't, then we have to assume that anything is possible. You can't rule out too many things.
A very smart person 3 weeks ago said that it was taken by aliens.
That was me.
That's what I'm saying. See how I butter up to you?
Yeah.
A very smart person, yes. Of course. Right here, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
And listen, as far as a theory, until they find the parts of the airplane, it's not as good as all the rest, but it's in a realm of possibilities for all those UFO believers and all those people that believe the pyramids and all those circles all over the world and everything else were not man-made, then why couldn't it be a UFO that did this? And they'll come back 20 years from now, not aging, nothing. Like, wasn't it in that show?
No, that was a movie. That was the Philadelphia experiment, okay, where they came back 50 years later. A ship came back from 1943, came back in 93, because that's when the movie was basically made, and they hadn't aged at all.
Yeah. Or maybe the airplane is now visiting the planet of the apes. They went through
They went through a wormhole.
Yeah, you never know. Or...
That was on the other day, by the way. It's still a great movie.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. The original was fun.
That's what I mean, the original.
But then there were a lot of movies that followed it, and they were...
Well, the second one was also just as good. That was the one where James Franciscus is launched into space. He takes the same path because he goes through the same wormhole and lands on the Earth just as Charlton Heston did. Okay, but the ones after that became ridiculous after a while.
Yeah, it's like anything else. It's, enough of it, just like... And that's what happens with the news. When the broadcasters, when the CEOs of these companies say, enough of this Crimea, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's talk about this.
See, notice the segue, folks. It works out perfectly. We go from Planet of the Apes, which is imaginary, to the Crimea, which is reality, but then the Malaysian Flight 370, which nobody knows where it is.
Exactly, and...
could be in the Twilight Zone.
It could be. Or... on the intellectual side, I guess somebody like... If you had to take a bet of what happened, I guess you would bet with the crash.
Well, at some point, it has to run out of gas, and that's what they were saying today.
Yeah.
You know, when they're flying over the water like that, you know, a plane only carries so much fuel.
Yeah.
And if they're traveling for 7 hours, and the flight that they were going to make was not supposed to be 7 hours, at some point you have to run out of gas.
Yeah, I think the point was about 7 or 8 hours, I forgot. But the point is, my point is, if that aircraft was taken over by the crew or anybody else to cause to kill the people, to cause disaster, why don't you go ahead and go into a popular area and crash it? I mean, it doesn't make sense to...
Yeah, why would they make the turn to... Well, they said they made the turn to go over the water because that area in the Indian Ocean is not... The satellites don't check it out, okay? If you want to get lost, that's the place to get lost, they said, basically.
Yeah, but still, like I said, I'm not saying that it didn't happen that way, but to me, it's not logical. I mean, if I would think if I was the terrorist is there to cause the most terror as possible to as many people as possible. Crashing in the water is not as good as landing it in...
well, it's not making a statement if they wanted to make a statement. Exactly. I understand that.
Or fly towards Israel and be shot down by the air defense from Israel. Then you're going to make a real big stink, because now you're going to talk about how the Israeli government shot down and killed 230 some odd people, innocent people. Because that's what would happen if that plane entered their defenses, their defense areas. I don't know if they had enough fuel to fly that far anyway, but I'm just thinking if you're a terrorist, you have better choices than just flying till you run out of fuel, which makes absolutely no sense. To me, anyway.
Well, we keep talking until we run out of fuel, don't we? We run out of gas.
Absolutely.
And if nobody calls up, boy, it's going to be a lot earlier today than it was on Friday.
Yeah, that's true. Today it seems to be a very quiet day for callers. Like, Last week we had 2 callers, which was an unusual week. So, for the people that are not calling us, I flushed you all down the toilet. Come on, everybody. Again, our phone number today is 646-595-3275. Tell us what you think was the most important bit of news that you heard today, yesterday, last week.
Tomorrow.
And if somebody could tell me what the news is a week from tomorrow, I'll be really amazed. And let's see, what else did we have? Well, how long have we been broadcasting now?
About 32 minutes.
32 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this show may break a record. It may be the shortest show that we've done in a long time.
Right, since we were limited to what, 30 minutes or 45 minutes?
45, yeah. We used to, when we first started doing this show, we were doing it for, when we first started the UAC, we weren't limited to any time, but we did a half an hour thinking we were limited, and we really didn't know what to do.
Well, I mean, you started talking about being an esoteric minister, you know.
No, I'm talking about way before that. I'm talking about the beginning, when you first sat down next to me and you said, I'm not talking on this TV.
Hamina.
I'm not doing anything. That was when we were broadcasting under the...
Don't expect me to say anything.
Exactly. That's what we were broadcasting that time under the flag of the UAC. And we had a struggle keeping it going for half an hour, and half of it was music. Or more than half of it was music. We actually did play pretty good music, but once after we left, we were told we were not allowed to play music because we don't have the copyrights. We're only allowed to play 30 seconds of a copyrighted song. And
then we tried to bend to the rules of iHeartRadio, and they kept rejecting us.
Yeah, iHeartRadio.
Now, listen, folks out there, I mean, this is worth a phone call. Why can't we be accepted by iHeart? What are we doing wrong? And what are we doing right?
You see, the funny thing is, we're supposed to be getting, we soon will be heard on iTunes.
Oh, really?
Yes. We'll find
No
out.
one wants to listen to us now.
Well, more people will make a mistake then and listen and won't know what they are listening to yet. But there is I heard from iTunes yesterday, and they will be reviewing us to make a determination if we're worthy of iTunes. And then there's also another radio station, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, called TuneIn. Yeah, TuneIn.
Professor Timothy Leary. Turn on, tune in, drop out.
TuneIn, and I just got a message from them telling us that we submitted some information incorrectly and we have to resubmit.
That's just a polite way of saying, of delaying the inevitable.
No. This one, no. She said the lady from their support department said she'll fill the information properly for us if we give it to her. The problem is I have no idea what she's asking for. That's why I probably didn't submit it properly the first time. I didn't understand half the questions they're asking.
Oh, because they're serious and we're not.
Yeah.
Sirius Radio. Sirius X. That's what we should do.
Sirius XM.
Get a channel on Sirius XM Radio.
Yeah. No, I hear iHeart is on the. You can get it on some radios in the car. I don't know how it works, but I think That's pretty popular these days.
I think we should dust off your esoteric minister's certificate and try to get a show based, religious based.
Hey, listen, don't laugh. We had the most listeners when we did our Trucking to Heaven.
Yes, I do remember that.
And, we knocked that show a lot, but that show had the best amount of listeners.
That show made us what we are today.
Matter of fact, when we were doing the show Trucking to Heaven under like as I said, with the UAC, when I quit the UAC, I was accused of leaving my flock, deserting my flock.
Yeah, but they didn't know you only had a flock of one, and I went with you.
Yeah. No, they found out you were Jew. That was a problem.
Well,
and this,
you needed a minion. We had to get 10 people.
Anyway, so now also the other thing Mark wanted to talk about. We're going to give you a little previews about some of the shows we're going to be doing in the future. Maybe this next Friday we may want to talk about sports, college sports, and should the college players be paid for what they for playing ball?
Well, I don't want to go into it because otherwise I'll have nothing to say on Friday.
No. That's just one of the shows.
There is a court case right now where college athletes are suing because they bring in billions of dollars to their schools, and supposedly they get nothing for it. There's also a thing that says that college players would like to unionize because they work, in many cases, more than X number of hours. As student athletes, they have become more athlete students. And they spend more time on the field in practice than they do hitting the books.
Let's say right. They want their vig. They want their cut.
Well, that's the thing. Everything boils down to money. But again, think about this for Friday. Maybe we'll get one caller.
Yeah. And then after that,
where are you, Frank? This is right up your alley.
We also want to do a show with Robin, Mark's wife.
My wife?
I mean, your daughter. Your daughter, I'm sorry.
My daughter would like to do a show on autism because that's her specialty in speech pathology. Okay.
So we'll do a show on that one day.
And then I have a friend who's a witch, but we'll have to see what happens because...
Well, we're going to see if she's going to pop and appear in front of us to do a show or not.
Well, she got a new broomstick, so I'm not sure. She may just fly away.
Yeah. Or she may fly here to join us.
That would be nice.
No, I understand modern witches don't have broomsticks anymore.
Why? You don't need a license.
That's true. No,
but then again, the air is cluttered with planes that don't know what they're doing. So
the witches got to be careful. Now.
Well, who is it? Christine O'Donnell in what was it? Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Says I'm not a witch. Remember? She won. The one from 2010, I think, or 2008. I'm not even sure when it was.
Yeah, she's not a witch.
We're groping at straws here, folks. Come on. 646-595-3275. How about it? Pick up the phone and give us a call, will you?
Yeah. We miss our regular callers.
I mean, it's 40 minutes already, and I have nothing else to say. I'm serious.
Well, you can always say goodnight.
It would be fine with me. I'd hang up now.
Nah, not me. I'm a glutton for punishment.
No, you'd like to have the sounds of silence. You'd stay on the air and broadcast nothing.
What do you mean?
But it is a show about nothing.
And what do you mean nothing? I'll give you nothing.
I don't want to hear Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby.
What are you listening to? Chicken Man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I had to do that. You asked for it.
Oh, I didn't ask for anything.
Actually, you asked for it by not asking for it. Does that make any sense to anybody?
I have one thing to say to you.
So do I.
There is no heaven. There is no hell. There is only this world.
There is no heaven.
My guy.
There is no hell. There is
There's
only
only
this
this
world
world.
and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
Telling you, he sounds like Zachary.
We know which world we're on. We're definitely dark reflections here.
We're in the wacko world.
I can't.
Looney Tunes.
Anyway, so that's one of the other things we're going to do a show on. And,
Well, if those come to fruition, those are 3 shows to look forward to in the future.
yes.
They may be our last 3 shows, but
And also the other thing we'd like you to do is we'd like to give you our email address, which we haven't really done for a long time. But we do want ideas for other shows. This way we know what our audience likes to listen to. You can email us at info, I-N-F-O, at ccradionetwork.com. If you want to make it to somebody in particular, you could do it Mark at ccradionetwork.com or Felix or I don't know, whoever you want. You could even send an email to some of our guests. Find out their email sent to them.
well, no, they could send us a question for Dr. Don or Dan or
Yeah.
Frank or those are, well, Dr. Don and Dan are the ones who frequently call up.
Yeah, but Dr. Donna is the one that I would say is the he's got a PhD from Yeshiva University. He's a psychologist. He's well read. As a matter of fact, we will be talking with Dr. Don in the next show too about the esoteric ministry because he just ordered some books on it so he can be more knowledgeable on it and
It would
discuss
be
it.
nice if you did that before you got your degree.
Hey,
You better do some studying because I'm not answering one question about the esoteric ministry.
that's because you have no clue what they are.
You're exactly right.
But I do.
I certainly hope so.
I do know that I don't know a thing about them.
I have to go on Google or Wikipedia and find out.
You know, there's actually, if anybody wants to know about it, there's a website called that's www.northway.org, and they've got quite a few interesting articles about the esoteric church. They also have articles about pagans and witches. It's quite interesting. Pagans are basically, if anybody knows what pagans are, and so are witches, they're basically humanists. You know, they believe in the earth and
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
yeah, they're
A group from the 60s, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
exactly. Oh, do you know who's coming back? Making a comeback? Boy George.
Oh,
And they had him on. You know, he's no longer with the Culture Club. And they asked him, "What should we call you on the show?"
what'd he say?
Well, he said, "Should I call you Boy or George?" He said, "No." He says, "My mom calls me Georgie. You can call me Georgie like my mom." With his British accent, I can't do British accents. And he said he's been straight for 6 years.
No,
Clean.
he's nothing. He's not straight. He's gay.
Oh, he's not gay.
Yeah, he's gay.
Why? Just because he belonged to the Culture Club?
No, he's gay. I mean, that's neither here nor there.
No, actually, he didn't say straight. Clean. He's been clean for 6 years.
Oh, well, you got to
He's
watch
been-
gotta watch your words, you know.
God forbid I call him straight. He's been sober for 6 years.
That sounds more like it.
And he was very personable. And
Listen, I give him a lot of credit. It's not easy when you've been addicted to anything to go straight. 6 years is a long time. People have been known to fall off the wagon.
A lot of these people, who are on drugs, that's why a lot of the stars die young. I give credit to him and what's that other idiot? Oh, the other guy, that's the English guy with the long hair.
They all have long hair.
I know, Osmond.
Oh, Ozzy Osbourne.
Osbourne, yeah.
Well, his whole family, his daughter had a makeover. His wife had a makeover, if you remember them back in the day, they look nothing now the way they did then,
Now, is he sober, I wonder?
I don't know. I never followed him on his I'm not a reality person. TV,
I don't think they have a reality show anymore.
They did, but no, at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they've become famous since then. His wife is all over TV now.
Yeah, she's on The View.
She's on The View. She used to be...
No, she's not on The View. She's on The Talk. The Talk.
I don't know. I'm not home to watch these shows.
No, I wouldn't watch them, so you're not missing anything.
But she's on the show. She's also on...
I think she has a program on Sirius Radio.
And also there's some reality shows she was on, but major ones on the... which one is it? America's Got Talent. She was on that. She's been all over. So she's doing fairly well. These are people who are making their second comeback. Not a second comeback, making a second career for themselves. It's quite interesting, same thing with, I'm terrible with names. What's his name? Stewart? Rod Stewart? Ron Stewart?
Rod Stewart has maybe not been on, TV, but he has like 5 or 6 albums out where he sings classical standards. In some cases, he does a duet like Tony Bennett does, or he sings a song from an old classic standard from the 50s or 60s. And he's done very well with that.
Yeah,
he really has.
Yeah, there's sort of he puts a little bit of his. I guess his flair into it, or whatever. He gives a little bit of himself when he sings these. He doesn't sound like Frank Sinatra or anybody else.
Felix. We've gone full circle now, and we're a show about nothing because we
we are
not talking about what was the topic again? The news.
Of course we are.
Why? This is news.
What? The news about Boy George coming back. This was on the news today.
How could that possibly top Malaysian Flight 370? Or Putin flashing his nipples, or annexing the Crimea, or the Olympics?
It doesn't, but it's news. It's news to somebody because he was being interviewed for at least 20 minutes today at one of the radio stations. And actually it was on the WOR. The conservative station. Is there a conservative station?
No. It was,
Is there a Russian?
NPR is National Public Radio.
No, conservative.
And no, you didn't say conservative. You said you didn't say conservative.
Okay.
If you want, there is really no conservative station. ABC now carries Sean Hannity, I think, and Rush Limbaugh. They left OR. Radio.
It's 7100. It's not ABC. ABC 77. 71 is WOR, I think.
But I don't think they're on OR anymore.
Yeah, they just got on it. Where's Imus? You don't listen to Imus anymore?
No.
He's on the same channel as Hannity and...
No, Imus is on the Fan.
He's now with... on the radio, he's on the same... channel is Hannity, and what's the other guy that we were just talking about?
Rush Limbaugh.
I was listening to Hannity, was definitely by mistake, because he had another guest talking the whole time, so you really couldn't tell whose show it was. and there was a Democrat, a black liberal Democrat, talking with this gentleman, and he just kept quiet. He didn't say anything at all. He's quite interested. He just let these two guys talk. And then now, actually, when I listened to him talk, he was very laid back and very non-controversial, which was quite interesting to hear him that way. But I've seen him, I think he's been asked to lay back a little bit, because he seems to have, even on his TV show, if I pass through channels, you listen to him, he doesn't seem as radical to the right as he used to be. You know, he talks about his family, his kids, which you usually don't hear from these guys. And, that's what I heard. News. Well, we're going to talk about news. There's a, I forget what they call it, something ball. Ball, like a dance.
Okay.
It's a father-daughter dance, where the daughters promise to be virgins.
Yes, I've heard that. You know, some cities and towns have sponsored them.
And that's where the father and daughter dance together. They have a party, and they promise.
And she takes an oath of chastity
Till they get married. They're not even allowed to kiss.
Oh, I don't know about that. But you know what I did read?
No, that is definitely the...
You know what I did read, which is rather disturbing? Teenagers today, some of them may be, not engaging in sexual intercourse, but oral sex and anal sex are on the rise. They don't consider oral sex, like Clinton, to be sex. When he said, I did not have sex with that woman, and the one who wrote this article said it's amazing because, again, back in the day, it was a bonus if your girlfriend performed oral sex on you and allowed you to perform oral sex on her.
Yeah.
Now they do it because they figure it's safe. I don't know how safe it is, but
I don't know. But they were talking about this, this ball. I forget what it's called, cotton. I don't know whatever the name of it was. As I said, they don't kiss or anything, and this was on Hannity. This was I was listening, and Hannity said, "Listen, I may be whatever I am." He goes, "But if I date, I kiss." He goes, "All right, if they want to be virgins, fine, but I got to at least get a little bit of a taste of what they're like." So that was sort of
asshole.
Being a little bit, I don't know what, but saying was, and then somebody called in and we're talking about these same people. They don't control their boys the same way.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
There's no mother-son balls for the son to be a virgin till he gets married. It's a double standard. Even though somebody did call in and said he had a talk with his son and he agreed not to do it, but in reality, it really is. It's a double standard. Kids are always
peer pressure.
Well, that's not peer pressure.
No, they apply peer pressure.
Who does?
Well, the ones who are doing it, apply peer pressure to the ones who have taken solemn vows not to do it.
No, but what I'm saying is boys are not put on the same
No, I know what you're saying.
level as girls, that's all. Boys can go have fun, they can have sex, just not with my daughter, as everybody says. But if they have it, the father will give him a little gift bag with a bag in it, just in case, contraceptive. And there's a I don't know if anybody saw the commercial where the son gives his father. Yes, you're shaking your head.
I mean, yeah, I've seen it.
I think Mark has just about had it for tonight.
Yeah,
His eyes are closing. His microphone is on the floor.
Yeah, I'm starting to look like Yoda from Star Wars. My head is in my chest. I'm just falling asleep here.
Well, we've been on the show. We've been on the air for almost an hour. We're gonna cut it off at an hour today. 56 minutes, 57 minutes.
That's true. Yeah, we have another 3 minutes or so to go.
So, appreciate everybody listening to us.
And when I say that, not that he's listening, Dan, don't call.
This is not the time to call because we actually want to cut the show off now since we haven't had.
I got to tell you, folks, I'm going to vent for a while. Very disappointed. We did a show last week on pets. Everybody's got pets. Everybody loves pets. Nobody listened. Okay? We did a show on Friday about... I don't remember.
No, we did another show on the vegetarians. And it was
that was the week before, and that I could almost understand, even though that did a little bit better. But I mean, there are a limited number of vegans out there, and
I find that when we do shows with a mixture of religion, politics, and whatever else, we get the most audience.
Well, you know how we're going to get religion? God controls the news. God's making the stories. God made me do it. That's what it is.
God made you do it?
God made me do it, yes.
What did he make you do, I'm wondering?
Whatever it is that I'm not supposed to do, but he made me do it.
Yeah. Well, listen, as I said, people seem to enjoy listening to politics, news.
Hey, we could talk politics every week, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, politics, news, and religion. It seems to attract the most audience. That's where I guess you have the most interest in. There are a lot of niche stations, that talk just strictly sports, but we're not sports authorities. But we'll talk about sports.
And then there are stations that do movie reviews, but we're not movie reviewers. They actually have somebody who goes and watches the movie, and these people have blogs of their own, and they come on the shows, and they talk about a specific movie.
Now, my review of a movie, it stunk. Oh, it was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's it, I'm not going to tell you who the artists are. I don't care about that. Just care if the movie is good or not. It's a good mystery. It was a good
Actually,
drama.
you know what we should have spoken about today? You know what news really is? For those of you who watched The Good Wife...
Oh, that was good news.
Josh Charles got killed off in yesterday's and last night's episode. And he's going to be on David Letterman tonight to explain the whole situation. Now, I do know that he recently got married. Okay, but he said the gist of it is that he wants to explore other avenues.
Yeah, he wants to move on. He thinks he's gone as far as he can with A Good Wife. And just like a lot of actors, they want to go ahead and maybe try to go into the movies.
Here's a question.
Or maybe they want to do
what movie back in either 1987 or 1989 was Josh Charles in with Robert Sean Leonard, Ethan Hawke, and Robin Williams?
I don't know.
Dead Poets Society. My favorite movie.
Yeah.
My favorite all-time movie. But I must say, folks, I've already gone 30 minutes over my hour limit.
Yeah.
So
I will tell you one thing. I was not sorry to see Josh go.
Well, I didn't care for the way, he was being portrayed. He really was, basically a cutthroat bastard this year. He really was. He had a little bit
of a heart, but...
Well, not really. He was just out to ruin Floric and Associates,
Mm-hmm.
But if you saw the coming attractions for next week, it starts to get very interesting because Alicia is now arguing with her husband, the governor, because she's still married to him. They're not divorced or anything, about the feelings that she had for Will.
Yeah.
You know, they're all starting to come back and everything, and there were hopes that the two of them would get together again.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Also, what's his name? Looks like he's coming back to the show. Fox. What's his name?
Michael J. Fox originally, during the off season, when they were planning for this year, he did offer Alicia a position before she left Lockhart Gardner, and she turned it down. And there was talk of him maybe coming to Lockhart Gardner as a partner.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, I think.
But, nothing developed. However, as he said in the coming attractions last night, I'm the new Will Gardner. He joins the firm of Lockhart Gardner.
That's what it would appear like anyway.
Which is really great for him because, his show wasn't going anywhere. The Michael J. Fox show. I watched it a couple of times and I thought he could really do better. And
was it canceled? I don't know.
It's not on anymore.
It's not?
I don't think so. I really don't. It might have been pulled, but not necessarily canceled. Sometimes what they do is they pull a show and there's a hiatus for a while. I'm sure they have, other episodes that they've already shot, and I think they wait for another cancellation and then they slip it in and see maybe it'll do a little better. I don't know. But
we're not programmers, TV programmers. We're not even good radio programmers.
No.
Hey, that's the train. And when you hear the train, what do you hear next? Nothing. Uh-oh, the dogs are barking.
Not yet. That says crowd talking.
No, it's the dogs are barking. You missed them. You didn't hear them.
Anyway, folks.
They're going to bark again. Don't worry. Yeah, the dogs are barking again.
Will you hang up already? Somebody might just call in and I don't feel like talking.
They're saying, Mark, we're hungry. Give us your hand. With or without a bow, we don't care.
Don't worry, guys. You'll get yours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for calling. Not calling, or thank you for listening anyway.
We don't even know if they listened.
We'll find out when we're done with the show. We'll see what our
Zero listeners. You watch. Zero listeners.
No. Well, listen, first thing is Mark makes, when he says nobody listens, he makes it sound like there's no listeners. There are always listeners. There's just more or less. And as far as live listeners, there's only about 10% of our audience is live listeners, or maybe even less. It's a very small percentage of podcasts that are actually live listeners. Because a podcast is a podcast for that reason. People can listen to whenever they want. But we do have a few people who listen to us. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to say good night now. Good night now.
Good night.
This is Felix saying good night.